Now I am just back from antiquing and I found this bag of very old feather tree branches. These are goose feather branches with little crackled berries at the ends, and I have devised my own way of making feather trees, but I don't have many opportunities to look at older examples. And this bag was $8. And I thought I could probably make something with these. So I thought you might like to come along with me and have a good look at these. If I can find one that is a little bit bedraggled, we might take it apart and see how it was made. So let's see what we have here. Oh, this is excellent. I was hoping that this is what I saw. I've never made feather tree branches that are forked like this with the tri-tip, so this is very exciting for me. Looks like we've got singles here. Okay. We have 6 straight branches and 6 with the triple tip. Now these are extremely faded and there are like clouds of dust coming off of these. Looking at these, I think these are not any older than the 50s or the 60s. I'm seeing here at the ends of the wires what appears to be floral tape. And it's my understanding that floral tape was invented after World War II. But still, I think these are just lovely, and something that has caught my attention are all these little wires. I have seen some antique examples of trees made with a binding wire. And the way I make trees is with a modern glue and clips to keep it together while it's drying. But it makes perfect sense to wrap the feathers on with a fine wire like that. So that's very interesting. And then we have these poor, sad holly berries at the ends of the branches. I assume these branches came in contact with moisture or something like that to dissolve the gelatin coating on the outside of the berries. I may replace the berries. I carry these exact things in my shop. These are the berries that I have. I have these made in the Czech Republic, and they're plaster just like these. It's exactly the same. So I think I'll be swapping these out for new berries, and it'll look great. So as promised, I think I'm going to take one of these single branches and do a little investigation into how it was put together. Let me get you a close-up view so you can see what I see. Okay, there is the end of the feather, the last feather. So interestingly, they have wrapped the feather over the wire, and then at the end of the feather, they wrap the end with the wire. So there is a wire running the full length of the branch. And whenever they need to start or stop a feather, they wrap over it with the bind wire. It's great. It's a great way to do it. Oh, there's a long feather there. Wow, look at that. Very interesting. I will be putting this back together. It seems pretty straightforward. I have the very end of it here, and it looks like they just went, I'm not sure which direction they went, but I think it was wrap. and then I wrap over the wire. Okay, and then I'll just wrap the wire over that end, wrap, and then I'm ready for the next piece. Oh, that's so easy. I love that. And then for anyone who is interested, the way these branches are attached, this is one piece of wire. It's wrapped around the main stem once, and then they've used that fine bind wire to add a little extra security. When I've seen these, I always wondered if this would move, and it does. But you can see on the back here where it's wrapped around the branch. So I guess if you were going to make this, you would make a double-sided branch and then loop it around your main stem. Now I've been looking at these thinking about what I want to do with them, and there is enough material here that I think I can make a little tree. Surely the original tree would have many more branches around a trunk like that. And I don't have enough material to do that again. But I was looking at these thinking, what if I gathered them together like this and then bent down these branches to make a small tree? And it might make sense for me to replace any missing berries first. And I've got a corsage pin here just to open up a hole to insert the new berry. I feel like I have about a 1/2 inch or less to work with here. I think that's about enough stem. Good. When that glue dries, that'll be just fine. Okay, I finished with the holly berries. There's the old ones. They're just completely disintegrating. All right, look how pretty these look with their new berries. And you know something? I think the faded green color is actually really pretty. It's kind of an olive tone. So now I am interested in putting these together into something that I can use and enjoy. So let's see what we can do with these branches. I have here some floral wires that are about the same gauge as what I think was used on these branches. I got these at an estate sale years ago. These are 30 gauge and very flexible, just like a steel wire. And I've been looking at these branches, and I think for the top of the tree, I'm going to use one of the single stems, and then I'm going to take one of the tri-tip branches and bind it like that, and then I'll spread these out. So I want the tip of the tree to be, I don't know, 4 inches or so. I think that's pretty good, actually. And I'm just going to take one of these wires and wrap it. Okay, so let's try to distribute these branches. The branch wire that they used, I think it's 16 gauge, but it is very stiff. I wish I knew what kind of wire it was. If you know a lot about wire, let me know. Yeah, like that. You see what I'm trying to do, right? Cool. So then the next tier, I'm going to use 2 of these, and all of them will need to get spread out. So let's see. Like that. I think I can wrap these all at the same time. Maybe I can actually stabilize this a little with some extra wire wrapping. All right, cool. There's 2 tiers. Now for the 3rd tier, I think I'll use the remaining 5 single branches. And they might be a touch long. I'm looking at them. I might bend them to about that length, just looking at the shape of the tree. So let's just use that as a guide. There. And now I'll just bind those around. So I have 3 tri-tip branches left, and I am just going to mount them at the bottom, maybe about there. So I am going to bend these so they're just slightly longer than the last tier. So about there, I think. Looks good. Now I have, I think, just enough trunk to be able to attach these. If these wires were any shorter, I would have to add a wooden dowel or something. But let's try to attach them and see how it looks. Okay. There. Get all of these spaced out. That's pretty good, isn't it? I will be adjusting that in a little bit, but first I need to find something to use for a base. I'll be right back. Okay, I did find one of these bases in my wood box. So I'm just going to paint that. I'm going to paint it red so that it matches the berries, and then I will add the tree. Okay, I'll be back when that is dry. Okay, so this should just fit in there. It's a little loose, but I think once it's glued, we're going to be all set. I'm being generous with this glue. I could have used hot glue, but I don't want to heat up my glue gun. Update, after the glue dried, it was still wobbling a little too much for my liking, so I went back into my wood box and found this spool, and that was a better fit. So I glued the spool to the base and then put the tree in there, and now it's sturdy, which is great. So here's the plan for decorating. I have these spun cotton mushrooms, and I thought I'd put at least one on every branch, just wrapping it around with the little tie wire. And a few years ago, I thrifted these tiny little mercury glass ornaments. They're a 1/2 inch diameter, and I have a couple boxes of these. And then I also have this garland, and I'll try that and see if I like how that looks.